Hey everyone, alright, let's go ahead and look at the market together. It's going to be a little market update. I did have a live trading session earlier today, but of course the fucking recording corrupted, so that's fantastic. So I'm going to be going over Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. That's because I can't be asked to do anything else from that stream. Okay. Alright, first of all, in my opinion, I think we're going to have one more leg up before we get dumped down to the 60s. I think early May, we're going to get a pump, and later on in May, we're going to get a sell off. Simply because, thinking logically, if you think a month is going to be bearish, which I do, you're going to want the pumps to be earlier on instead of later on in the month, right? So you want the pump to come early and then a sell off to become like in the middle to late May. Now, the reason I think we're going to get pump is if we look at that USDT dominant chart. I went over it. I went over this on my last stream. You can see we put in a double top, and we've now retested that double top. The candle closes in 4 hours, so we've retested it. The technical targets. More or less at this demand zone. So I think we might get a fill of this demand zone before we go higher, or we might front run it a bit. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, back to Bitcoin. Oops. Now you can see from my last stream, we did get that, but the dump that I spoke about, we got them a large sell-off. I think we were about here. We got a dump of about 5%. We filled this order block and ran higher. On the daily, you can see that's the daily order block. We have not shifted structure to bearish just yet, so our bullish structure is still intact. We've got higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So we're probably going to make a higher high somewhere up here. Maybe even to this zone up there. Before we get a sell-off. So I think something like this is going to happen. Maybe it fills up there. I don't know. So we'll see. Now, in terms of actual plays, this is one play that you can take. There's an order block here. You've got the golden pocket confluence. Spoken about this on my stream. There's a parallel channel down here. I wouldn't call this a bull flag because of how steep it is, and we also broke out here. So what can happen is we can get a move back down, retest it, fill us, and get a move back up, hypothetically, in an ideal world. If we do get a retest of this would be a good place to long, or personally what I would do is I would wait for this demand zone to get broken out, which it's breaking out slowly now. Wait for it to get flipped, and then I'd long this flip. Oh. Looks like Ondo just hit TP1. I'll update that in a bit. Let's have a look. Yep. Lovely little snipe. Alright. So the invalidation of that would be break of this trend line. This would be where you would short if we get retested this. Once we flip this to resistance, like we did here, you can see we got a massive sell-off. That would be a short trigger, and you'd probably go lower. But like I said, structure is still bullish, so I expect another leg up before we go down. But like since we're in a bear market, I wouldn't be go aping into longs. If we do get these limits to fill, then nice. If not, oh well. And I'll dump off the rest of my bags around 83 to 85k. That's what I was targeting this whole time. Now, another thing I wanted to show is if we go on this chart, go on the week. Oh, sorry, not this one. This one. You can see Bitcoin is pulling off a pattern that we like to call a Quasimodo. So essentially what this is a head and shoulder kind of pattern, but the neckline's broken. So you can see we have a high, 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 low, high, high. The neckline's broken, go below. And up here, more or less, is where your short trigger is. I'm going to be dumping my bags off here. And I expect a retrace to happen somewhere there. If this pound is to play out, which currently it is. So we'll see how that goes. Now, in terms of ETH, still got this supply zone up here. Hasn't been filled yet. No point doing that. We're still in this like bear flag kind of structure. So if we do get a move down, this odds are this breaks out, and like I covered, you want to be DCAing at levels of support. So here's one. You can DCA here. Here's another one. And fucking blowfin. Yeah, you can see the levels here. So this order block here, this is definitely where you want to DCA. You want to DCA inside there. Now, initially I've already DCA'd in this blue zone here. It did give a little bounce. You can see it gave a 31% bounce. I did take profit out of this resistance, and I'm looking to recompound it lower. So I bought in out of this support. Going to be buying into this order block, which I have a little bit. And going to keep going all the way down to about 1k if it does get down there for some reason. Now on a lower time frame, structure has shifted bullish. So you can see we have a lower high here, higher low, higher high. So breaking above, above this high here, we've now shifted structure bullish. So in terms of daily slash 4 hour slash anything lower than that, longs are going to make more sense than shorts. But anything like higher time frame, I wouldn't be swing long in this coin just yet. But this is one zone where you can take a massive swing short. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, bullish structure on the daily. So you can see with the dump that we had recently, a lot of order blocks have filled. So this is a little order block slash, I'd probably call this a supply zone, a demand zone. So you can see this demand zone, if I were to call it that, has now been filled 50%. So this is invalidated, since a demand zone for me, by my definition, is invalid if 50% has been filled. So, fucking hell. Hondo's pumping. Alright. So you can see that we are kind of consolidating our resistance here, so we can break out. Let's just redraw this. Got resistance here. support. I guess one in. So if we do happen to get a flip of this level, so you can see here we broke out and just deviated back down, there was no flip. If we do get a flip of this level, I'll be looking for around 2,800. Till then, this is pretty much a no man's zone. There's no point shorting down here, there's no confluence other than like maybe some support resistance lines, like for example here. But up till about like 2.6, 2.8k, there's really nothing stopping it from running. Especially with this trend line. Why is that red? So you can see that ETH is temporarily in an uptrend, though we are in a descending parallel channel right now. Slash rising wedge, falling wedge. So we'll see how that goes. Looks like we might be breaking out soon. But yeah, if we break out here, you can long this demand zone. Stops below. And aim for higher. Now, I don't know if I've deleted it or not. I think I just have. But if you look at the streams that, well, my last stream specifically, you can see that I gave out, I think it was this order block. And also this one down here. Both were filled to a T. I gave them as unofficial signals in the stream. Both played out nicely, and I think this one gave a 2R trade, and this one gave a 3R trade, and this one gave a 2R trade. Can't remember off the top of my head. But if you haven't watched them, they're pretty good to check out. You can learn a thing or two. Now, if this does break out, technical targets of this will be about 2,500. So about there is where we'll be targeting the long. That doesn't mean enter here, take profit there. No. What I'm trying to say is take profit at levels of resistance and when you're comfortable. And ultimately, if it does reach that level, it wouldn't be a dumb idea to exit the trade completely. So that's what I think of ETH so far. I think we might get a leg up, especially if Bitcoin does go up. I think ETH might run, maybe even to the supply zone, but we'll see. Now in terms of Sol, we're in a downtrend currently. However, on the higher time frame, you can see that we're still stuck in this range that we've been stuck in since February. Range highs. I'll probably put them there. Mid-range about here. So you can see we're kind of consolidating at the mid-range. This is a no man's zone. This is where I wouldn't be trading, especially like scalps fine-ish, maybe. Scalps are fine, but I'd definitely reduce risk because essentially when we're consolidating our mid-range like we are here, it's kind of 50-50. It can go up, it can go down. There's no kind of guarantee, right? So you can see back here, we flipped it, went to highs. This kind of price action was alright. When it got to here, we're just consolidating. So it can shoot up, it can shoot down, it can go either direction. But we are in a downtrend, so that probably means I'd be more inclined to look for shorts. I think I gave this short too on the stream, but don't quote me. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I gave that on the stream. But if it does go back up here, this wouldn't be a dumb place to short. Wouldn't be a dumb short to take. Aim for range lows. Take profit at levels of support. So you can see the range was given on the daily, but the 4 hour or the 8 hour or the 12 hour is going to have its individual levels. So you can see this wasn't a support on the daily, but it is on the 4 hour. So you'd definitely be taking profit there. I'd probably call this a support. So yeah, I'd be taking profit at support. Now, if you do want to take longs, this demand zone is still valid. Oops. As you can see, 50% of it hasn't been filled. So if price does go back down, you can play off it. But I don't think the move is going to be that major off it, as we are in a bearish structure on the 4 hour. So till we break these highs here, I don't think we're going to get that much of a move up. So if this doesn't get filled without breaking above that high, I don't think it's going to be that big. If we flip above the mid-range, that could be a valid long to take. Stops above whatever the candle is, aim for range highs. But like I said, we're consolidating our mid-range, so that is a fairly risky trade to take. I'd reduce position sizing if you do want to take that. 786 confluence to that, I forgot to mention. But yeah, in terms of Sol, nothing really too interesting going on. You can see we did break above the bullish trend line and we're still in the downtrend. So we'll see how that goes. Might get a sell-off on Sol soon. It doesn't look as good as the rest of the coin, so you can see. Nah, I guess not. Let's check out the Bitcoin pairing though. Now, in terms of the Bitcoin pairing, I don't know if I went over this or not, but I'll go over it again. We had a bear flag on Solana, the Bitcoin pair. Technical targets of that, as you can see, from the highs to the lows, so the bearish impulse. And from that high, the targets are in this little demand zone here. So, in my eyes, what I think might happen is, so the Bitcoin pair at least keeps underperforming. So that means the Sol USDT pair keeps underperforming in terms of Bitcoin, fills this demand zone, and then and only then pushes higher. Now, if it does break above this support, flips it and goes higher, then that would mean this is probably invalidated. Because you can see, if I zoom out, you can see that this is a fairly key level of support and resistance. So you can see resistance, fully exploded. Went up 300%. Came back down by another 100%, 2x. So you can see, if we do break above this support, I'd expect Sol to give a decent move up and give it another rally. Let's see if we can see anything on the ETH Bitcoin pair. Yeah, you can see alts. I don't think they look too good. There's a handful of alts that are looking alright. So for example, Ondo, Doge, Hype did outperform everything else, but in my eyes, I think it goes down from it. Yeah. So I think Hype does go down. You can see we've broken out of this uptrend on the Bitcoin pair. We've just flipped this support to resistance. So that was a fairly key level of support and resistance that we just flipped. We flipped it here, kind of fiddle fucked around here. Flipped it to support, ran a bit. Now it's back in resistance, so I think we might get a move down. You can see we're trying to retest this little supply zone that gave out. So we might retest this, flip it to resistance, that is in the SRs, flip it, and head lower. So that might be a good confluence for your shorts if you plan to short ETH. However, if Bitcoin is going to go up, that doesn't necessarily mean that the alts are going to dump based on this. Because if this is going up while Bitcoin is going up, what you're expecting the coin to do is either go up at a slower rate or consolidate. I don't have the picture to show currently, but there is a picture of understanding the Bitcoin dominance chart. So if you can try and find it, that would be a good thing to understand, since the Bitcoin dominance is a good indicator to use. As this indicator is essentially used to predict how alts are going to perform. So when this is going up, alts aren't going to do as good, whereas if it's going to go down, alts are going to do pretty good. But that also depends on what Bitcoin's doing, right? So if, I'll just type this out for you, Bitcoin dominance is going up and Bitcoin is going up, that means alts are dumping. Actually not dumping. Alts are consolidating. If Bitcoin dominance is going up and Bitcoin is going consolidating, then alts are dumping slowly. Going up and Bitcoin is going down, that means our alts are dumping. And vice versa for the other way. With Bitcoin dominance going down, it's just the opposite with the other side. I don't really want to go too into detail about that because I can spend hours and hours talking about these indicators. But you can see we are at some sort of a resistance. Just get rid of these lines real quick. There is a resistance here. Yeah. So you can see that we've broken out of this resistance. We could retest it or we can go higher. When it's at resistance, so probably about like up there, that would be a good place to start looking to get into some longs and buying and accumulating some alts. But other than that, I don't think the Bitcoin dominance has much to say at the moment, other than the fact that alts aren't looking too good. You can tell based off this. Bitcoin's in the green and some alts are selling off. And yeah, that's essentially what I think of the market for now. To reiterate, I think we're gonna get a little pump, maybe into the 83s, 84Ks, before we get a large sell-off. And yeah, all right. Thanks, everyone.